Hello, folks. How's everybody doing? Let me adjust the mic a little bit. Sorry, I just bumped the mic pretty severely, so I apologize if that made a bumpy sound. Whatever. But happy Tuesday, everyone. At least I hope it's a happy Tuesday for you. I really do. Let's see. Okay, I'm just posting on the tweeters. There we go. Let me jump over to... Okay. And of course, I'm giving my requisite few minutes for people to join. I had intended to do a stream over... Actually, was I supposed to do it this weekend? I don't remember. No. I've kind of dropped down to 1 day a week. It's just worked out better. Which is not to say, because I was doing Tuesday, Thursdays, but maybe once the weather, it's just been really warm. And so even though this chair is much better, there's been some warm nights lately where I'm just like, whoa, man, this is, hold on, let me see if this works. Oh, good, it did. Okay. I was afraid that closing the laptop lid was going to cause this program to decide not to work. But no, it's fine. So anyway, so I was doing 2 days a week, but Thursdays have typically it's just been something going on. So not that it really matters. I don't want to get too attached to doing certain days. And again, this is supposed to be a fun thing, so I don't want to make it too much like a pressure thing. But if a day comes up and it works out, I do feel kind of bad about not being able to do more early streams. It just never works out that way. So early relatively, obviously, because, people who are, let's see, I don't have time zones down enough to know this, but I don't think there's many time zones that are far behind Pacific. I think it just is mostly ahead. I know Britain or like London time is way ahead, and I think it just gets progressively more. I don't know where that stops and restarts. I mean, I know there's Greenwich Mean Time is considered 0. Actually, I was going to look it up, but why bother? I'll forget in 5 minutes anyway. So that is the only thing I do kind of feel bad about, is that I don't do more early streams, because I know there's some people who would, man, the upload thing is so weird on this. Why is it jumping like that? I'm looking at the Twitch studio thing, and it's jumping from 1400 kilobits upload to 5300. It's just kind of pulsing back and forth. Why? There's nothing going on. There is definitely something strange in how this thing interacts with the Mac. I mean, everything is in the green except that upload just randomly jumps. It's so odd. I really don't know what to make it. I mean, that can't be real, because I'm not showing any dropped frames or slow frames. I'm at a pretty steady. I've got a locked 60 frames for. Oh, what is this? Ooh, hold on. Whoa! Oh, no! Don't turn that back off. Sorry. I did not, whatever I just did there, I should not have done. Okay. I don't think it interrupted the stream, but whoa, boy, something popped up there that was very strange. Anyway, I don't know, but I don't believe that that's real. That makes no sense, because that would suggest some kind of weird throttling, but it doesn't line up with anything else. Whatever. It's fine. Computers. Who needs them? I mean, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, I needed to do this, but it is weird. It's a little weird. I don't think there were any updates for the Twitch studio. I'm pretty sure, but I will do a quick check just in case. Nope, nothing. Okay. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. I will just carry on. Keep calm and carry on. Okay. So, let me grab my iPad over here. Get that into place. All right. And, oh yeah, the skull. I have to admit, let's just get this thing going. Hold on a minute. Do my little intro bit. Intro bit is going. Da, 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 da. Hey, why did it go to 0? Well, It doesn't really matter. It's a 45-second countdown. I'm pretty sure I know where it is anyway. I don't know why it went to 0 this time, but it really doesn't matter either. Basically, once all the little stuff runs across the bottom, then we're where we need to be. So it's fine. Okay, I'll do that. Oh, it's going to fade to black. I'll know from the fade. I'm going to fade here. And come on. Is it not going to fade? Wow, that thing decided... Hey, there it goes. Blammo. All right, there we go. I was going to say, is it not fading for some reason? Okay. Here we are back with a skull, which I am tremendously liking, which is a rarity for me. But I really like the way this thing looks. I just do. So I'm going to keep rolling on that. Sorry for the yawn. I don't know why I'm yawning. Actually, now that I say that, the yawn actually gave me an idea for something. Because I had the idea to have basically grays, which are the zeros or the O circles here. But I think for the sockets, I might go with an even deeper gray than I was originally planning. So let's go ahead and... Now, I always go back and forth on... No, I'm not. Why am I saying that? I'm not going to go back and forth on it. Black is always going to be the overriding color. It's just going to be. Black is the dominant color. Let's take a look here. Now, this can all get changed into colors later. But for now, I'm going to keep it like this. Let's make that brush a little bigger. Because now, I mean, we're just coloring big areas. And then we'll start going with little detail lines. But I just want to kind of get a look at this and see how I like it with this darker gray. I can always lighten these up. So nothing about this is permanent, which is great. But I just feel like the sockets should be a little darker. Maybe. But if it's too dark, it might feel too close to the black. And I don't want to lose some of that crispy blackness, because I kind of like how that's looking. Oh boy, let's move that down a little bit. Oh no, don't do that. Move the brush down. So yeah, I gotta kind of figure out how I want this thing to work, because I do think it's important for the sockets. Because originally I was just gonna have kind of flat grays across everything, but I kind of like the idea that the sockets do have. Okay, I just noticed an error. That doesn't look right. Is that the black? But that's black. No, that's a line. Hold on. Oh, yeah, look at that line. That line is bad. Bad line. Bad line. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to just take a quick look at this. That's not bad. I might lighten... You know what? I'm going to lighten that a bit. It's a little too dark for me, so let's bring it up 5%. That's better. I really don't want to lose that black detail in there. I really don't, because some of these blacks are just good, and I rarely say that about anything, so I'm encouraged by the fact that I like this thing. So we'll do this, and we're going to use that same 5% scale. Maybe 10%, let's see. You know, we'll use 10% on that. There we go. That's a good gray. That's what we'll use for the other dark areas. See, that way it's a good distance away from the other one. I can go ahead and do a... clear. There we go. Because I want it to feel related to the dark areas in the, nasal cavities, but not... Okay, I got to make a smaller thing. Got to get these edges right. But also to still feel dark. So, yeah. So that's what we're going to do, some gray areas. And then what I'll plan to do is... See, I want to... Usually I do all of my black line work first. And then I kind of go in and do the color. But I'm... With this one... I'm sort of in an unusual place because, as I've said like 3 times now, I actually really kind of like how this looks just in the black and white. But I want to give it a little more depth. And so I'm going to, since that's an unusual scenario to begin with, that I actually like something this early on, I'm going to kind of go against a little bit of my common way of working by waiting on the detail lines till I have the dark areas filled in and see what I think then. Not going to drastically affect much of anything, but it's actually, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of, let's see. Oh, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is, I didn't think about this ahead of time. I think I'm going to do the upper teeth in this gray, and I think I'm going to do the lower teeth in this gray, the darker one. So we'll do that. That gives them a little bit of differentiation too. It gives them a little bit of, Okay, I'm going to make up a word or a phrase, or maybe I'm just using real words and real phrases wrongly. Let's give it some planar spatiality. That can't possibly be real English. At least not in the way I'm using it. Planar is a real word. Spatial is a real word. I don't think spatiality is a real word. I'm pretty sure I'm making that. But you know what? That's going to be dark gray too. Because where that's situated on the skull, executive decision. Or as Bob Ross says, we're going to make some big decisions. Because in my world, that's going to be dark gray. Which, now that I say that, I have to add something. Okay. See, this is the fun bit. When you just start realizing little things, adding them in, kind of having a somewhat organic nature to the piece. Is that the right line? Oh, that is definitely the right line size. Okay. I'm going to take the pen here. Because I thought about it, and honestly, I think I'm going to have a little bit of this dark gray here too. So we're going to break this up like so. I'm going to kind of follow the jaw or the skull line. Ooh, it's not craggy enough. That's the word I'm using. It's craggy. It's not craggy enough. I'm going to crag that line. Yeah, that's it. Add some of that crag. There we go. And I went a little too far over, so I'm going to just jump right there. Yeah, see, I want to have that be dark gray too, because naturally this line, oh, that's an eraser, this line here would create a shadow. So we're going to go ahead and put that in, but was not in the original thing. And that's what I mean about not everything, because if you look at the original drawing, that line is not there. You just add things in. Add things in where they seem like they should fit. Okay. That's going to be dark. That's going to be dark. Everything else is going to be the lighter gray. So we're going to go here. And then we're going to jump up to that gray layer, which is this one here. You know what? I should be. Let me start actually naming things. We'll call this blacks. And which means what I'm going to do is take this, take these layers, not that layer. We're going to group those together, and we're going to rename that to line work. See, this is where I usually am stupid, because I don't name my layers immediately. I do it after the fact, which just ends up with a lot of hunting and pecking. So we're going to say darkest. That allows me to have multiple grays if I want. And we'll call this mid-tone gray. Or mid-tone gray is fine. I know what it means. Only I need to know what it means. And that allows me to very easily know where I am. So I think that's the color I sampled. It is. I'm on the mid-tone gray layer. So we'll put an X there. We'll put an X there. We already know we're doing the teeth. I don't need to do that again. I may color the teeth like a yellow, maybe a faded yellow. Don't know. Haven't made that decision yet. And this black here is probably going to change. I don't like it the way it is now. It seems like a weird little dolly mustache that got away from me. And that's not what I'm looking for in my skull. So that is one where I did it, and I'm pretty sure I don't like it. So, oh, did I really? I made that? No, that's fine. It could be gray. I don't really care. Yeah, let me work something out with that. This is bothering me massively. So let's go ahead. We know this isn't going to stay here. It's just not. It initially looked fine, but I don't like it. So what I'm going to do instead is, and I think that means I'm going to get rid of this too. I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate set of lines. Okay, so we're going to find that line. Yeah, that's gone. Whatever. It's gone. I know I don't want it there. So we're going to take this out, and we're going to create a brand new line there. So we're going to jump to our thin pen. We're going to get our black back. Now we're on this line. So what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of a logical, just do that, and crag it in there. Now, that may be, you know what, I need more of a curve. I need a craggy curve. Here we go, craggy curve. Now, from the reference I used, which I don't even know if I still have it on the iPad, this may not be accurate, but to my eye, that looks better. And that's just something that you have to decide what you want to do. You know, not everything has to be reference accurate. It doesn't. So do I want to have darkest gray? Actually, I don't. No, I think I'm going to go for mid-tone gray on that, because it isn't a whole. I'm trying to save the mid-tone grays for some really specific areas. Okay, well, that's the wrong pen, but there we go. Yeah, I like that better. Now, what I can do, because I did like having that little pitted thing there too, I'm just going to move it. I'm going to move the little pitted area to here. I'm going to do a little craggy pit there, and that we're going to make into pure black. That will jump into our black layer, and we will go ahead. I got to use the smallest pen for that because this is a pretty small area, and we're going to go ahead and make that a black little pit. Little pitting in skulls, I always think is good. It's a nice way to have them, because either you have a clean skull, which is, you know, there's a lot of those, so, or you can have this kind of more pitted. You know, I'm definitely feeling like I'm channeling Mike Mignola here. Was not really intentional, but then again, it wasn't exactly unintentional, because he does do really good skulls. So, all right, there we go. So I've got my little pitting back, but I feel like that shadow, while perhaps not anatomically accurate to the way the skull was in the photo, works better for the eye, for my eye. And ultimately, you have to be, it's your image, you have to be happy with it. Oh, look at that, I've almost got that lined up. Look at that, with the circle in the background. Check it out. Hey! Okay, that's completely useless for anything except for my own amusement. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so let's, it's such a stupid thing. Midtones. Okay, so midtones, we're going to take I think the mid-size pen will work for this. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's not, ooh, well, I say that and then I immediately go out. Yeah, because that's a differentiator enough. And I can always adjust this. That's why it's nice to have them on different layers, is I can always make, if I feel like that's blending too close, I can lighten it even more. But I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be all right. This is going to go a little over. I accept that, because I could just do that right there. I don't have too many little sharp valleys like that, so I don't think it's going to be a big problem. But I want to get these edges done so that I can come in with the big brush, the big paintbrush, and splotch it all out. But yeah, I got to admit, did I just bump the mic with my glasses? Sorry, here, let me move that back a little bit. Sorry. I am surprisingly happy with this, which is just very, very unusual place for me to be in. I'm used to having to really, what I would describe as kind of wrench any type of quality out of my stuff. Usually I don't look at something and think, oh, you know, that's pretty good right off the bat. And that's not to, you know, I don't want to sound egotistical when I say that. I just mean in terms of me making an image I don't hate. I do have to fix that, because that ain't flying. There we go. I didn't go all the way through, so you could tell. Okay, back to dark gray, or darkest gray as I'm calling it. Let's switch back to our thick pen. Use the right terms. And just anybody who's curious, Joe's pen is I believe the technical pen and modified it. That's the nice part about Procreate, is it will let you create your own brushes. You can buy brushes, but honestly, I mean, if you want to, if you're not comfortable making your own pen, or you find one that's really great, by all means pay somebody for it. But you can find any number of very good tutorials on creating your own pens. And I'm not going to pretend I know everything. I would actually love to, at some point, talk to some of the people that are involved with this program, and maybe get them onto a late night or something and kind of go through the creation process and how this stuff works, because I find it very interesting. I don't understand any of it. I'm not a dev or I don't have the brain for development or coding at all. I mean, at all. But I always find that stuff interesting. And I think this is a particularly really well done program that has gotten much better and much more powerful over time. So I may try to arrange that at some point. That would be kind of fun to get into the background of this program and see, where it came from and what the ultimate goal. Because obviously, the easy description is, it's a Photoshop on the iPad competitor. Well, I don't know if that's really true. I don't know if the people behind it regard it that way. That's a simplistic description that is accurate, but it may be that, I don't know. There's lots of different reasons people do things. And I think it's very easy to categorize it as, they were just trying to make when Photoshop was not on the iPad, they wanted to have Photoshop on the iPad. Except that Photoshop is on the iPad now, and I barely ever use it. Now, I use Photoshop all the time on my desktop machine. And there are certain things that, I love Photoshop. I've talked about this before. I know people get very upset at Adobe and their subscription program, and Don't get me wrong. How do I phrase this properly? Because this is a very, very debatable type of point. Because I've said before, and I absolutely believe it, that an artist owes nothing to anybody but themselves. Ultimately, because people say, well, the art belongs to the viewer. No, it doesn't. Interpretation does. What you get from a piece of art, what you feel it says, that can be absolutely contrary to what the artist wants it to be. And I don't think any artist should tell somebody that looks at their art, excuse me, and infers something different than they do that they're wrong, because what makes art so powerful and wonderful is that it can have so many different meanings to different people. And of course, that's because so much of art and our reactions to it are not really the artwork, or well, not solely the artwork. I shouldn't say not really the artwork. That's not really fair. It's as much what we bring to the art as the art itself. And that's why, that's what I mean about, I don't think an artist can tell somebody, because let's say the artist made it to, I don't know, work out the demons of a broken marriage that impacted their childhood. To that artist, that's what that artist is always going to be. And nobody can tell the artist they're wrong for that being the meaning. But if somebody else sees it and what they feel is, I don't know, they see the, I don't know, what can I come up with that's an abstract concept? What they see is the pain of being orphaned, of losing both parents to a tragic accident. Artists can't tell you, no, you're wrong. That's a different type of pain. Or if conversely you look at, because I've looked at things that some people find very ominous and desolate and depressing, and I think they're awesome. I think they fill me with a sense of joy. Now that could be because my brain is broken, who knows. But also, the artist can't tell me I'm wrong and that I'm supposed to feel depressed by looking at their work. I mean, they can say that, but it doesn't mean anything to me because it's my perception of the work. And this is, I know I started talking about Adobe and I got way off track because I'm just trying to kind of give a reference point or a perspective point of where I'm coming from here. Adobe at this point is so far ahead of everybody else. And okay, that's fine. You want to debate that point, go for it. I'm not telling you that you're right or wrong for that either. But in my estimation, Adobe has no competition. They're much like Apple with the iPad. They are too far out in front, and they at this point are still a company that appears to want to keep doing things that are groundbreaking and empowering. Now, you can, again, a lot of people don't like Adobe's subscription model compared to their old perpetual license model, or their software license model where you bought it, you own that version forever. Adobe has certainly at times pushed through updates that have caused serious problems, which is more a symptom of the subscription model of software than necessarily Adobe, but whatever. It's the responsibility of the company whose name is on the product. So I get that. So there's a lot of people who are very upset. Do I think that Adobe should? Well, they've said that Adobe that Photoshop on the web is going to be free. So I think I talked about this in a 5. Did I talk about it in a 5? I may have. Where I said that may go a long way to, all right, I'm going to try to use this word. Pretty sure I've got the word right. I don't know if I'm going to get the pronunciation right. That may go a long way to ameliorating, I hope I pronounced that right, some of the ire that people have. It depends. I mean, they're saying it'll only be partially free. And don't get me wrong. I know that somebody will inevitably say, no company of any kind owes anybody anything except for, I guess, their shareholders, which, let's not get into how warped that is. But yes, that is technically true. I'm not saying that legally Adobe should have to offer a discounted or a permanent licensed version of their product. Even if I was suggesting that, there is nothing in the law that would ever make that happen. But I think Adobe would be wise to learn the lessons that Apple didn't for a while, or is now learning, where Apple really turned their back. No matter what they say, this is what happened. I mean, I'm not going to, whatever. I don't do their marketing for them. Apple turned their back on the creative people who really helped to make them what they are. I mean, Apple was very early embraced, and much because of the mythology of Apple that was sold by Steve Jobs, of this idea that Apple was run by, weirdo creators, which, okay, let's just say that there's a lot of that's smoke and mirrors. It's as much deception as it is true. To indicate that Steve Jobs was some kind of hippy-dippy creator type is only partially the case. But it doesn't really matter. What does is that Apple made some very poor decisions. And they weren't all post-Steve Jobs. Some of them were while he was there. Many things at Apple were very slow-moving, which means that he was part of them. But certainly, Apple did itself no favors with a lot of creative people. The diehards are always the diehards. The people who just love Apple, you're never going to be able to do anything to dissuade those people. They are perma-fans. Apple could push out an update that made their Macs catch on fire, and these people would likely figure out some reason why that must be in the interest of data privacy and user security or something. So, the superfans are the superfans. And that's fine. You can be a super fan of things. I understand why people love Apple. I really do. I quite like them myself, but I don't consider them any friend of mine, let's put it that way. I know they're still a company, and that their decisions could turn on a moment's notice once something no longer results in the money machine operating the way it does. As many people will immediately say, if you doubt that, look at their attitude towards China. So, thank you, Andy Ihnatko. One of the people I think is actually one of my favorite people who actually talks about Apple, because I think, and if you don't know who Andy Ihnatko is, I will not mispronounce his name, because I know or misspell it. I will misspell it. No, I'm not mispronouncing it. Ihnatko is his last name. I know I can't spell it. But he is a commentator over on a show called Mac Break Weekly, as well as another show called Material. Material is more centered on Android. Mac Break Weekly is more Mac focused, hence Mac Break Weekly. And one thing I really, really like about Andy is on a show that is often populated by people who, I'm not going to say they're Apple super fans. I'm going to try to be fair about it and not say that, although you can decide for yourself. He is very often, while being a fan of Apple, able to say, wait a minute, let's not turn a, what's the word for it, an affection into adoration or deification, which a lot of people do. A lot of people just will not hear of Apple doing any wrong. And I think that's an extraordinarily dangerous way to view a company. I think the minute that you think that a company is beyond the ability to, the minute you think a company cares about you, you've made a fatal error. Companies do not care about you. There are companies that are certainly more customer-oriented. That's absolutely true. Which I think is as much as you realistically can ask for a company. Assuming that it answers to shareholders. When companies are small, it's different. I've talked about this before. There's such a tangible difference between companies where the people at the top know the people at the bottom and those that don't. You can see it immediately over and over and over again. And honestly, you can take that same thing and you can apply it to human beings in general. Once human beings, people, become numbers, abstractions, once you can't see them as people or connect with them as people or empathize with them as people, that's where 99% of our problems come from. Honestly, you could solve a lot of things. If there was an empathy machine, if there was an empathy gun, well, I shouldn't use gun, I don't like guns. If there was an empathy projector, there we go, that could create the empathy for anybody you looked at, where you could empathize with every single person you ever saw, this would be a far better world. And that same thing applies when it comes to business. Because again, if you're in a company where, and I've seen this firsthand, so this is not speculation, this is something I have seen more than once. When you're, and most of us have seen some version of this, unless you're very lucky and you've always worked in a small company where everybody knows each other, and then maybe you've never seen the other side of this. But when you work in a small company with a small amount of employees and everybody knows each other, it's just so fundamentally different than when you're in a big company. Because once a company's big enough where, again, the people at the top don't know your name, then that's it. Where did I go from Adobe to this? Oh, because I was talking about, man, I don't remember how I got to this. I started off by basically making the point that the free version of Photoshop might be the smartest thing that Adobe could possibly do, because it may... God, how did I get to... Oh, no. How did I get to... I don't remember. I don't remember how I got to... I don't know how I got to Apple from Adobe. If I go back and listen to it, I'll know, but I don't right in this moment know, because my brain is Swiss cheese. But in any event... Oh, so I'd like to talk to the people at Procreate to find out if Procreate really came from centrally just trying to be an anti-Photoshop. It may have started out as something like that. It may have started out where there were a couple of people who were saying, you know, Adobe doesn't have anything on here. They basically have a dominant stake in every other space. If we can get in here and be a better version of Adobe, and then maybe that's always been the driver behind it. Maybe that is the actual impetus to keep Procreate going, is just to continually stay ahead of Photoshop. Or it may have started out that way, and then once the product was out and they started looking at it, they realized that maybe it was something different. Something certainly parallel to Photoshop in many ways, but also a separate thing. I'd actually be curious if they're working on some kind of vector-based thing too. I would be curious if they're looking at some Illustrator alternative. I mean, you would have to think that they would have at least considered it. And honestly, I would love to see that, because I really do think this is probably... I mean, this is the... Without even any doubt, if there was a way to run metrics and see which app I've used the most, and maybe there is, I don't know if there is, I'll have to look it up, this would I dominate everything. Nothing would even be close to Procreate. This is what I generally do with the iPad. You know, outside of short searches and sometimes, you know, we run the Bob Ross videos off these when we paint, although I think we're gonna move that to an old laptop, because frankly I'm so protective of this thing that when we do the painting, I cover it in saran wrap to keep paint from getting into any of the ports or anything or on the screen, and so it makes it very hard to see, because it's so reflective in the sun that it's really pretty horrible. So I think what we're gonna do is, there's an old laptop that I think we can utilize that I figured out is actually working, and it's like a 10-year-old machine, but it'll be perfectly fine for playing YouTube videos. So that's probably what we're gonna do for that, and that way I don't have to cover this thing in saran wrap. Which is just, it's laughable if you were to see it, but I don't want this thing to get messed up. I'm extraordinarily protective of my iPad because I do so much on it, like this. This is my primary creation engine. The creation engine. Ooh, what a good name for a device that would be, the creation engine. That would be fantastic. What are we looking at? Oh, okay, so we got some little time left. We got some time left, so we can keep going on this. That's another thing I'm really trying not to go too far, and you know, I'm being a little smart about how I'm holding my iPad, because I'm aware that, you know, I'm at that midpoint of age where it's sitting here going, okay, things that are not good for you are going to have longer lasting effects now. It's going to take longer to recover from things. Things will not go away the same. Your body will not tolerate the same stuff. Actually, I was looking in the mirror today. Not that I really care, but I went, oh yeah, look at that. I got the lines around the eyes thing happening. That's it. The party is over as far as youthful appearance. It is done. Because I'm starting to see those lines, like the one good sized deep fold around the corner of the eye, and that's it, man. Once the rock starts down that hill, it's just going to keep going faster and faster. So now I just looked at myself and I went, oh, that's it. It's over with. Any type of youthful appearance is finished. I mean, not that I had much left anyway. With my hair going as gray as it is, and, you know, there's a point where even without lines in your face, age becomes apparent, which is sort of a weird thing. Because there are people who you can tell their age from the lines right away. There are people who end up with very lined faces. And so that makes that a lot easier. But you can also tell it without it. You can, I mean, outside the obvious, it would be obvious even if my face was flawless that I wasn't 18, but, you know. So I'm being a little bit smarter about, that's a long-winded way of saying I'm being a little bit smarter about how I'm positioning my hands when I hold the iPad so as not to stress them too much, because I do not want carpal tunnel. I don't want, neuropathy. I don't want to be knocking my nerves out by putting undue pressure and whatever on them. So I'm trying to be a little bit more conscientious about what I'm doing. A little bit. I'm sure my posture is probably not fantastic, but, one thing at a time, But, yeah. So, yes, using a laptop instead of the iPad, I think it's going to be a lot better for the Bob Ross stuff. Yeah, because then if it gets windy and I have the iPad propped up, I'm like, oh, don't fall over. My precious, don't fall over. I mean, I do. I treat this thing like the One Ring. Because, I have so much stuff on it. And not even photos or anything. I don't do any of that stuff with the iPad. No videos, no photos, no nothing on this thing. It's pure artwork. But even that, I'm just like, man, I don't want to lose it. Because I back it up pretty regularly, but I don't pay for the iCloud backup. I'm already paying for Carbonite. I have a machine that has a dedicated hard drive. I don't really want to be paying for a third thing, I've got a box account. It's like, how many accounts do you need to back everything up? Like, I get it, but there's a downside to that too. Like, I very much feel like 3 backup locations is perfect. Start doing more than that, and you start having versioning issues. If you ever want to rename something, you got to be very careful about how you do it. Which, don't get me wrong, it can be done. It's not some kind of NASA level calculus, but most people don't. And even I, as meticulous as I can be, I've made errors like that. So I think 3 locations is one on-site location and 2 remote locations is really kind of the magic thing for me. That's where I found most of my stuff is well suited. 3 areas. 2 wasn't quite enough, but 3, I don't need more than 3. And that's kind of where I've landed with it. But even so, I wouldn't want, man, if my iPad died on me, oh boy, that'd be a rough few days as I desperately ordered another one. I could probably do without it for a few days, but I really wouldn't want to. Because there are times where I just jot down ideas, and some of them just sit there, and I don't do anything with them for a long, long time. But I just know they're there, so to lose that stuff would be... Not that I really think... If the iPad were to fail, boy... I doubt it would be that catastrophic where it would be unrecoverable. I don't go swimming or any stupid stuff with it. I don't do anything careless with it. Never dropped it, at least not yet, knock on whatever. So, I would want to be kind of careful with it. I am very careful with it. I mean, even when we paint, I will basically take turpentine to my hands before I'll even touch the iPad rather than risk getting any paint on it. So, I am very conscientious with this thing. Very careful. Alright, let's see here. Where are we time-wise? Yeah, we're getting close. So, can finish out the grays. And then I got to figure out if I'm going to leave the rest of the skull to be a flat white. And the other benefit of not doing this for too long, too, is I find that when I look at a certain piece that I'm working on for too long, I start to kind of lose the ability to see it, if that makes sense. Because I've been working on pieces of it too long. I've done that with painting, where there's a painting where I was sure it was terrible. And now my habit is if I really don't like it, I walk away from it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes where I do not look even in its direction. And then go back and look at it and see if I still don't like it as much. And almost all the time, I may not exactly love it. I'm not going to pretend that that works and makes me love every painting I've ever done. It doesn't. But what it typically does do is it allows me to evaluate it more objectively, and I end up not hating it as much. May not love it, but generally then don't hate it. So I find that beneficial. Okay, let's switch to this. And let's do the teeth. Let's see here. And we'll do the big areas, and then I think I will wrap this one up for tonight. Da-da-da, teeth. But as I'm finishing up here, started watching the X-Files with my wife. She's never seen it. Have to figure out where to stop, because I know we're not watching all however many seasons. I remember it going very badly late. So we will not be going all the way. I'd rather leave her with a good impression of that show than a bad one. Might stop at the movie. I've done that before, where I've watched it up to the movie and just stopped. And I know people will say, well, yeah, but it doesn't explain everything. You know what? It explains enough. And I don't need a show to be completely over with. I don't need all the answers. I think that the movie sets up this nice idea that, you know, and spoiler alert, I guess, if you've never seen the movie, but it's from 20 plus years ago now. I just like the idea that at the end, Mulder and Scully are back together again. That's enough for me. I'm a simple guy. I don't require much. I like characters I like to be happy together. And I know that's not how the world works, but you know what? That's not how the world works, so that's how my fiction can work. I like happy endings. Yeah, not all the time. I can sustain a bad one too. But I'm okay if they're mostly happy endings at this point. I'm okay with that particular approach to fiction. Alright, let's seal that off. We'll bring in the big brush. Let me just seal the sharp areas, because those are going to be a little tough. So like this. Or maybe not that. That probably would have been okay. Yeah, but that wouldn't be. This would probably be a little rough. Okay, seal that up. And any other more sharp areas? Is this like right? Yes, it is. Okay, I gotta do this. Let's get this one done. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. There we go. There we go. Okay, okay. Seal that. Is that a little black line right there? Hold on. Looks like it might be. It is. Gotta get rid of that. Done. Back to midtones. Thank you, midtones. Okay, we can jump to the big brush. And we can go ahead and fill that in. There we are. Very nice. Yep. Get that, get that. Okay. And because this is under the darkest grays, I don't have to worry about veering into that. So we have a lot of freedom there. Okay. Yes, and I also have to end shortly because my dog clearly needs to go outside. And I don't want her to have to hold it. I don't think that's very nice of me as a pet parent to make my dog have to hold her bladder if she has to go. I know I don't like to have to do it if I'm stuck in a car or something, so it's really not fair for me to make her do it. And we're pretty much at the end in here of where I wanted to be on this anyway. Yeah, I'm going to mess around with these grays. I feel like maybe they're still a little too close. But in general, I can turn off. Where are the circles? Where are the circles? Where are the circles? Wait. Wait a minute. Are the circles in here somewhere? Oh, they're there. Oh, look at that. Look at how foolish I've been. Do that. I didn't realize the circles were on the black layer. I really didn't when I did this. It doesn't really matter. I'm just erasing them, so it's okay. And any one of the ones that were black are going to get covered up, but it's just very funny that I didn't even realize I was doing it on the same layer. That's okay. Let's get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. And... oh, really? Now? Now you go away? Hold on. It'll come back. I'm just erasing the circles anyway, so you're not really missing much of anything. Don't worry. Come on, really? Oh, jeez. Are you kidding me? Oh, there it goes. I was going to say, come on. All right. Anyway, sorry. Okay, let's do that. Oh, I went too far on that one. Sorry, this is a pretty big brush. I should probably have made this slightly smaller for this part, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. And now that the thing just failed, so that's probably also a sign that, all right, buddy, wrap it up, because I'm just going to stop working now, which is, you know. But I shouldn't complain too much. It held up very well for most of this. It only had the one shut off so far, so I really shouldn't complain. Really shouldn't. I will a little bit because, and I already did, so I can't really retract that. But overall, it was much more steady this time. I didn't check to see if I was at 100%, what do you call it either. Probably was. That seems to be the harbinger, is once the CPU tags 100, then it seems like it's only a matter of time. So, to my continued confusion on a machine that generally performs so well that it struggles with this, and I don't know if it could be the app and not the computer. I will absolutely allow that. That's a possibility. I don't know. But in any case, like I said, that's a sign that it's time to wrap it up. So we will do that. Just finish this area. I don't like to leave areas incomplete. So we will finish this area out. There we go. And I can make this a little bigger now because now I'm just in big sections. Ooh, yeah. Paint. Okay. Well, I said I don't like sections incomplete, but I'm going to hold off here because I don't want to have it go off again. So we'll keep moving on this. I'm going to keep building this. I have to do a little tweaking. I can tell the grays are a little too close. Or maybe not. Maybe not. If I do the skull a non-white color, maybe that'll help. So there's different ways to go with this. But thus far, I am really liking this. So I'm going to switch this off here so I can... So far, I am really... I have to admit... Oh, apparently there's an update for my iPad too. I guess I'll do that. I am very, very happy with how this is going so far. So, yeah. I like where this thing is going. So, anyway, that's going to do it for the stream this evening. As I always say, I hope that you are having a wonderful, morning, afternoon, evening, late night, very early morning, wherever and whenever it is you are. Hope everything is going well and you're staying safe and healthy. And I hope you are enjoying the streams. I hope. I'll keep doing them whether people are or not. And on that note, have a wonderful rest of your whatever. And we'll see you again on the next stream. All right. Bye, everybody.